Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Finally, we've got something other than a draw to talk about in tonight's show. We're live for the next 30 minutes. I'm going to talk about the 2-2 draw at Stoke. Some bad bits, some good bits, some bits in the middle, whatever you think about that. Obviously, we can talk about Gary Rowett. What was your first impressions of him? Did you see signs of improvement already from what we were getting from Marty Cifuentes and Andy King? So I want to hear what you think about that. But obviously, what do we need to improve? Tomorrow's going to be a tough one, but what do you want to see us improve over the next couple of games? Big game on Saturday, obviously at home against Norwich. So Borough first going to be tough. That we will talk about in some details here. And of course, we'll get your score predictions for Borough against Leicester. And finally, later, we'll perhaps touch on fan protests. Are they still going to go ahead before the game on Saturday or not? Do you think that's right or wrong? Anyway, I'm Phil. Join us live. Get your views. Get your comments in for the next 30 minutes and we'll get as many of them on screen. Don't forget, the link is there. If you want to click on the link and come on screen, tell me what you think, you can do that.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.
Yes, don't forget you can follow us at Leicester Fan TV on whatever channel you want. But let's get as many of your comments in on screen as we can during the show. We want to know what you think about Leicester. Good evening to Andy. Hope you're well. Thanks for watching. What do you think, Andy? 2-2 away at Stoke. It could have been worse, but it could have been better. Either if we'd have just hung on or if Luke Thomas had scored that last-minute header. Alex, good evening to you. Hope you're well. Let me know your views and thoughts. And the same for you, Michael, watching on YouTube. Let me know what you think. Tom says, good evening, Phil. I think he gave them a rocket at half-time. It certainly seemed that way. Although Leicester this season, Tom, game of two halves all over the season, hasn't it been? So was it just one of those games we've seen before? A really poor first half and a much better second half. But he says, gave them a rocket half time. My only question is, why did it take so long to bring in a bloke who took the job as soon as Marty was sacked? I think probably because they were trying to find other managers, Tom. That would be my honest thing. They probably spoke to 3 or 4 others. Nobody seemed interested in it. And therefore, they went for Gary Rowett, who I actually think might be okay for us, certainly till the end of the season. Andy Medhurst says, stop conceding goals. That would be his number one thing to change. Nick says, slight improvements. I didn't expect a complete turnaround immediately. Some positives to take from the game. Well, Nick, we were probably only a fraction away from actually getting that win in a couple of ways, but it was an improvement, I think. Tony says, got to stop this clown show defending. Yeah, crikey, you put a ball into the mixer and we just don't want to defend it. Conceding from 50-yard crosses, but a better performance against Stoke. I think Tony will probably speak for a lot of fans tonight in saying it was a bit better. It was certainly better than the 4 or 5 previous defeats we'd had. Andy goes on to say a clean sheet would be nice. I've lost count, Andy. What are we at? Gone are the days where we used to count how many games has Jamie Vardy scored on the trot, how many games we've run on the trot. We're into how many games since clean sheet. Is it 27, 28? I genuinely lost track in there. Andy says here, I think they got an arse kicking at half time. Apparently, Gary Rowett doesn't take much nonsense. And if you ask me, that's what we've been needing for not just the last season or two, the last 4 or 5 seasons, somebody to give them a little bit of a going over. Nick, good evening, Nick. Hope you're well. Gary Rowett seems to be the type of manager we need, he says. He seems to come up the backside. He'll solidify the defence. Need to get behind him and the lads. Nick, and anybody else watching, I've just shared the link. If you want to come on and have your view, you're more than welcome to. Alex says a draw is better than a loss. Yes, totally. It is better. It's better than it has been. Mike says we're losing because we're letting more goals than we score. It's not. I agree. Football isn't rocket science. We've said that for weeks. all this formations, that. It was quite nice. Was Ricardo Pereira actually just playing as a back four? It still didn't mean we didn't let any goals in, by the way. Tom goes on to say, woeful at first, or stopping the ball coming into the box, and even worse at defending it. I saw quite a bit of criticism for Mavididi. If you want to talk about Mavididi, towards the second half, let me know in that. Ian says, why can't this team only turn up for half a game? If Stoke had a striker, the game would have been gone in the first half. They had some great chances. They literally could have been 2 or 3 up. I thought we were very lucky at half time to be only 1-0 up. And let's be honest, Stoke are on a really poor form of run. So, again, I tend to say the Leicester fans, we all get like, we lose and it's down here. We win and suddenly it's, oh, where are we? You've got to keep a bit of a lid on it. Tony says it's 27 games since a clean sheet, equal from 1948. Gav, I'm sure if you want to talk about Luke Thomas, I've seen Reedy's clicked in and Steve's clicked in, so I'm going to get them in very shortly. I'm Reedy, I want to talk about Luke Thomas in there. Chris, it's good to see you as well. Hope you're well. Let me know how everything is. Clibo as well. If you want to click on the link, Clibo, I know you like to come on sometime. Let's hope the players buy into style. Andy's talking about Daka. He can't score a goal to save his life. We know that. But Christensen looked like he had treacle boots on. Well, he's still coming back from injury. I guess you could give him a little bit in there. And Andy says here, Mavididi doesn't do Luke Thomas any favour. Never tracks back. Keep your views and comments coming in. I'm going to add in Steve. Welcome to the show, Steve. And I'm going to add in Jay Reid. Welcome, both of you.
Hi, Phil. You all right?
Yeah, great to have you both on. Now, if you want to get your comments in, Steve and Reedy will react to it. Let's start with you, Steve, first of all. 2 points at Stoke. Was it points dropped? Was it good to see a comeback? It's a shame we can't have two halves together. What's your take on the game at Stoke, first of all?
I think based on the first half, it was a point gained because I think we were lucky not to be out of the game. But then second half, I think that was as good a second half performance as we put in all season. I think it was good to see us come out in the second half and actually give it a go, because I think we've been guilty of predominantly being better in the first half and then having a real shocker of a second half. So it was good in that sense. I think it was a great reaction. I think Rowett certainly has proved that he can get a reaction out of this group, but certainly, in his first game. Although I was equally as concerned in the first half that given it was a brand new manager, you would have thought that the team would have come out all guns blazing, and yet we looked that was as poor a first half as I think of anything that was dished up under Marty or Andy King, to be fair. So I think it was just it was a proper game of two halves, really, to be honest.
We've had a lot of them, Stephen. Reedy, you were obviously there at the Stoke ground. It was disappointing, as Steve says, that new manager, new beginnings. We hope something to go a goal behind in the first 3 or 4 minutes. It was such a shame.
Yeah, in the first half, I kept going to people around me saying, "No, what manager comes in and changes anything? He doesn't." Because at that point in the game, and even until the 45th minute, I was saying nothing's changed here. No one coming in or no one being changed upstairs is going to change the way we're playing. And then I was obviously shut up in the second half because we really did do bits and try and change the game around, and we nearly did it. Unfortunately, we didn't get the result we wanted. But yeah, it was good. It was hard to see the third minute goal go in. We need to stop these crosses going in because it seems like they're the only goals we're conceding at the moment. But like someone said in the comments before, we're just conceding too many goals to how many we score. So
keep getting your views in, your comments in. Steve, what's your initial reaction to Gary Rowett?
I mean, to be honest with you, if somebody had said to me 3 years ago we'd have had Gary Rowett as our manager, I'd have probably been like, seriously? And that's not being a snob. I think it just shows how far we've declined and where we are. I actually quite like him. I think he reminds me a little bit of Nigel Pearson in the fact that he seems quite straight talking. Doesn't seem to have too many airs and graces around him. I think he's kind of a more, without a bit more old school in kind of how he's going to deal with things. He's probably ideal for where we are at the minute and for the situation we're in. But like I say, if I think it, as much as I think it's a decent appointment for where we are now, I think it also really epitomises where we are as a club at the minute and how far we've fallen in such a short space of time that people are sat here now kind of almost glad that we've got Gary out, if that makes sense. And
I think he's the right fit for the moment, Steve. I agree with you. I think what we've got left now, 13 games, for me, he's the right fit. Reedy, not on Rowett. I want to talk about players. Reedy, pick one or two players you want to point out for either good or bad reasons. There's a lot of Luke Thomas this, Luke Thomas that. A few comments about Jeremy Monga not getting involved, Mavadidi, but some positives. Maybe Winks looking a bit back to his what we know he can do. Where do you pick a good and a bad from Saturday?
Good, I would go out and say Mukasa. I think he's like, you know me, I was kind of overhyping El Khanous when he was at the club. I'm actually going to overhype Mukasa because I think he's next level compared to what we have at the moment. I think he's, like I say, I think he's got a goal and assist in both of his games he's played at the moment. So for me,
that was a cross, Reedy.
It was a cross.
That was a
it would take.
Yeah.
It would take.
It wasn't a shot.
So.
Yeah. Did you agree? It was a cross.
No, it was definitely a cross. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it wasn't. I'm just saying that he's got a goal and assist in both of his games he's played, and he probably looks the best player on the pitch when he's on the team. So
did he lay the ball back for Winks as well? By the way,
yes.
Yeah, which was a nice little touch.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, Mukasa stays in that team no matter what. Now going into the rest of the season, and say he's only 18 compared to other players we've got who's 18 or younger. I think he's. You can see he's a Man City player because he's got the level at so young, how young he is. But yeah, and then bad player, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say the one name that most people are going to say, Luke Thomas. How the hell he gets in that team? I know Christensen started the game, but when he got injured, how Aluko doesn't seem to find his way into that team after he gets injured is beyond me, because Luke Thomas alone makes every opposition think, right, we've got a chance here, because they're just going to go down his side, get beat him, and then put a ball in. If there was someone better defensive there, there's every chance we don't concede crosses so much.
So, Steve, but same sort of question to you: a good and a bad point or player from Saturday. Who do you think? Yeah, that's nice to see there, but them doing something, and again, somebody who you go, because it does feel like that. It's a very mixed bag, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I've got to agree with Reedy. I thought Mukasa just looks a class above. You kind of look at it now and think, because of the situation we're in, it's highly unlikely we're going to keep him for next season. And I don't mean it on permanent, but he's the kind of player that you'd have liked to have kind of, if we'd have had a decent season, then took JJ and Mukasa next season, we'd be we'd be in a good place. In terms of bad, I think, yeah, I'm actually starting to feel sorry for Luke Thomas to a point, because I just think week in, week out.
Did you see Luke Thomas when he missed the header at the end?
Yeah.
You couldn't feel more sorry. I watched it back on replays before the show tonight, and I looked at him, and do you know what it reminded me of, Steve? Excuse me. It reminded me of when got relegated at Stoke, and Richard Stearman hit the crossbar in the last couple of minutes, and he almost did the same reaction as Luke Thomas, and it was almost deja vu seeing Luke Thomas, because if he'd have scored that, he's a Leicester lad, he'd have run up to the corner and loved it, Steve, wouldn't he? It would have really given him the fans a big lift.
It's a tough one, because he is struggling, and you watch him, and he's really kind of, he looks like he's absolutely shot of confidence, but he does care, and to be fair to him, he keeps, he's there every week. He's in the firing line every week. He knows he's struggling. He knows he's getting pelters. He knows he's part of a squad that, his hometown club that's struggling. He's probably feeling it worse than anybody. The reality is, though, what I will say is he fronts up every week, whereas Christensen, as soon as we're losing and he's in the starting lineup, he goes down with a mysterious injury every time and has to come off.
Steve, there is a few mystery injuries in the team this season, isn't it? We seem to. Somebody else commented phantom injuries. I do question where some of the players are at the moment. Mr. Vestergaard seems to have gone missing again.
And I'll be honest with you, with this, I mean, it's something I was going to kind of touch on if we got the opportunity. This for me is kind of where the really poor recruitment has kind of caught up with us, and not because of necessarily the talent of the players we've signed, because when you look at them, you know, a lot of them, your Mavridis, Christiansen's, you know, Christiansen was an under-21 international with Denmark when we signed him. He was playing in the Champions League. So he had a bit of a pedigree about him, but it just feels to me like one of the things that we've really lost over the last 5-6 years, we don't seem to do the due diligence into players' characters, into kind of the personalities. And what I think our biggest issue is not necessarily the talent that we've got, but it's the heart, it's the desire. You know, even when you look at Winks, I'll be honest with you, he scored. I half jumped up, I half shouted, not that fucker who scored, excuse my language, but it's how because you think anybody but him after the way he's been, and then he kind of runs off to the crowd, kissing his badge, and you think, but hang on a minute, for most of this,
you didn't want to play for us.
You don't want to play for us, you've been throwing it in. And it's that kind of issue that I've kind of got now. It's what's made it such an unlikable squad, I think, is because of the lack of character, the lack of fight, and it's just full of bad eggs, bad apples.
I mean, Steve, I'm a couple of comments here in there. Patrick says Thomas 2 players on him. Tell me which one he should mark. And I think Mavridis doesn't help Luke Thomas a lot of the time with how he tracks back or the lack of it.
What I will say on that,
hang on, Reedy, just 1 second. VK and Thomas are both woeful. Need to start a Luco and give him a chance there. Michael says here, if Luke Thomas wasn't in the team, the results still have been the same. Just before you say it, Reedy, I would still have Luke Thomas in there purely because for the last 13 games, I want to see somebody who gives a flying about Leicester City, bombing up and down. And Luke Thomas was still bombing around in the last minute, trying to score a winning goal. He's a Leicester lad. He knows what it means if Leicester go down. I still want him in the team. He isn't brilliant, but I'd still rather have him in than a Luco or Victor Christensen. But go on then, Reedy.
Well, first of all, I'd say that Luco will probably just have as much energy and fight as Luke Thomas because he's a youngster from the academy still. But what would say
is he any better? Is he any better though, Reedy?
Right now, couldn't be any worse.
Is it? I didn't ask that. Is he any better?
It couldn't be any worse. Like,
yeah, you're not answering it because again, he's a young lad.
Right now, yes.
Okay. Well, you answered it. What did you want to say?
But from that comment that someone said about there's 2 men on him, who do we mark? The only reason there's 2 men on him is because all the opponents go, right, we need to double on him because he won't be able to handle it.
They're saying goal. Which one's he meant to mark? The one he's marking or the guy who's behind him? Which one? Because who's letting him down in that scenario?
All of our defenders were all out of place by about a couple of yards. He should have been on the end guy who scored.
But then the guy in front is free.
No,
You'd crucify him.
Should have been there.
Yeah, but he wasn't. Ben Nelson wasn't there. So if Luke Thomas marked the guy who scores, there's a massive guy in the middle.
I understand that. But that's where the whole defence was out of shape at that point.
I think if he'd have scored the winner, we'd have had a different conversation.
I'm not blaming Luke Thomas for that goal. I'm just saying that overall in performances, there's no chance I'd have him in this team in the moment. I know what you're saying about the fight and whatnot, but
it is, Steve. I think what we're having here is a conversation that's been going on for 4 or 5 years. Leicester fans, we all seem to want to find a scapegoat every week, and then we all sort of lob on it. I remember it back in the day being Jeff Schlupp. You know, there's been a few. Then it was Damari Gray a bit. There's always a couple of players who people seem to want to pick on a little bit. But I know Luke Thomas hasn't been great, but
yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree. I think there always will be, won't there? And I think you've got that with any fan base. There'll always be kind of players that people kind of look at. But I think the tough side of it at the moment is we haven't got a settled defence. Ricardo predominantly won't play night matches. Doesn't tend to play midweek games because obviously he can't play 3 games in a week. So then somebody else has to come in at right back. We've had massive issues at centre half with Lascelles coming in, looking like he was going to kind of be the kind of saviour to be alongside Ben Nelson. He's got injured after one game. So then we've got no Vestergaard. So I think the Coley, Nelson, that's not working because I think both of them need somebody more experienced to guide them through a game. So I think they're making mistakes, which is then meaning that the fullbacks are getting caught out of position, getting caught, kind of do a go into the centre to cover, do a mark my man. I think Ricardo, if I'm being truthful, I think if I was going to bring a Luco in, I'd bring him in on the right hand side and I'd drop Ricky P because I just don't think he looks fit anymore. I think his legs have gone. I think he really struggles. We're too susceptible to the counter attack, and I think it's because we haven't got that positioning. I do tend to agree. Mavadidi, I think, is terrible as a defensive winger. He doesn't track back enough. But yeah, to be honest with you, I think when you look at it, for the players that we've got, whilst this squad is poor in comparison to perhaps what we had maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it's still, when you look at Hull, Preston, Swansea, teams that are above us in the league and comfortably outperforming us, our squad on paper is still a lot better. But it just feels to me like this is more about a mentality issue. It's just complacency. We turn up, and I think this is why we're not putting 90 minutes in. We turn up every week thinking we're going to click. If we click, we're going to win. It's going to be comfortable, and we get the shock of our lives. Or we are in control of the game at half time, think it's going to be easy, come out second half, drop a gear or two down, and get caught cold. So that, I think the massive issue for me is the culture at the club at the minute, where there's an arrogance and a complacency, and I just think too many players have got it too comfortable. They're on massive wages for this division, and I just think they're coasting through life. There's no real jeopardy for them.
Chris Carr's clicked in. I'm going to add you in, Chris, in just a second. Just a good comments here. We're going to talk about Borough in there. Stephen says Thomas's scapegoat. Winks wouldn't get a kick if it was left to me because of his shocking attitude. Mark says if someone is struggling in a team game, then someone needs to help them out. No one does, which shows there's a lack of leadership on the pitch. Ben, thanks for watching. It says difference is those teams have characters, and that's what you need in the Championship. It's not all about big names. Like it was under Sven in there. Let's add Chris in. Chris, good evening and welcome. Chris,
good evening. Thank you for having me on.
No, well, thank you so much for clicking in. Before we talk about Borough, Chris, do you want to talk about the Borough game, or have you got something you want to talk about Stoke game first of all?
Stoke game first, please. That's all right.
You go for it. What did you want to say?
First off, I wanted to agree with yourself and most of the lads in regards to the fact that you're saying Rowett only had one training session. And on top of that, the late injuries that popped up on Friday afternoon? What was it? So it was handed a bad deal of cards already at that point. So we can't judge Rowell on that alone. Also, the fact that it was interesting, like Jamie picked up on yesterday on the Aftermath show, that he only made 2 substitutions. That was an interesting one as well. When obviously he's got a bank of 5, he's got 5 opportunities to do so. So I didn't know if you wanted to bring any more fresh legs on. Also, Monga, although I thought in spells he played reasonably well, he did look very lethargic when they did bring him off, and that was the right decision as well. He looked a bit shattered. Now, whether that was morale because he was being brought off, whether his legs had just generally gone, that was an interesting one. Even though he is only 16, so I hope he doesn't get too much flack because he's only 16. He's only 16. He needs time to develop and grow still. Also, another thing that interested me in regards to Stoke and outside of the Stoke generally is Callum Davidson now part of the coaching setup. Yes, so there you go then. So that hopefully going forward will be a good shout because we do have a massive defensive problem. Forget about the fact that Luke Thomas is always getting picked on. Just generally that back line, defensive play and defending on set pieces, which we are still awful at. So now we've got Gary Rowlett, former Leicester City defender. We've got Callum Davidson, former Leicester City defender. We've now got two individuals that are defensive minded that should be training the guys on how to do defensive work. So hopefully going forward, I just hope that we've got enough time to rectify these mistakes and get the training in properly. That's my concern at the moment.
Okay, Chris, well, stick around and we'll chat about Borough with you. Stick around. Thanks, Chris, for giving us your views and comments in here. Donald says too much deadwood and not enough fit, not fit enough. Again, this is an interesting one, which I'll ask Reedy this. Tony says, wouldn't risk any doubtful players tomorrow. We need to win on Saturday. So I'm going to spin that into the question to you watching this and to Reedy first. Which is more important? Is it Borough tomorrow or is it the game at home Saturday, Reedy? If you're looking at it, like Steve said, Ricky P doesn't normally play midweek. If you're Gary Rowett, Reedy, what do you look at? Do you think, no, we could really do with a bit of a surprise draw maybe at Borough? Or do you put all your eggs in the basket for the game against Norwich on Saturday? What would you do, Reedy?
I'd throw my eggs into the basket for Saturday, in my opinion. Again, I'm not saying go and lose the game against Middlesbrough tomorrow. I would put out a team that's good enough. Again, if you have to rest Ricky B, if you have to rest Mukasa and put in Bobby Reid. I think Bobby Reid's back from his suspension now, so we've got players you can replace and still be decent enough. But the players that have been showing up the last few weeks, like I say, even Wink for me, I'd say for the Norwich game on Saturday, and bring in the likes of Skip or I'm trying to think who else, or Page, people like that, people who we know can get results. It's just obviously been really poor results recently that probably showed that they're probably not good enough. But yeah, I'd put all my eggs into the basket for Saturday, in my opinion.
Ben says here, all important now, results didn't go our way again on Saturday with Blackburn and Portsmouth winning, even Oxford getting a point and clean sheet. I know it is starting to get where you're looking at results every game as well, isn't it, Ben, now? Fox says a point tomorrow at least is needed. I kind of feel like we need a draw tomorrow to build on a draw, and then take it to Norwich. I think a bit of this really helps. These are supposed to be professional players. Playing 2 games a week would not be a problem. Steve, let me chuck you that curveball back. How would you face the next 2 games and reckon to the trip to Borough tomorrow?
I think, yeah, I agree. I think every game's critical now. I don't think we can afford to kind of, I don't think anybody's saying throw a game, but I just don't think we can afford now to not be competitive and not try and get a result. We need something out of tomorrow night to keep to build up a bit more momentum. I think if Gary Rowett can get off to a couple of decent away draws and then pick up a victory next week, that's 5 points in 3 games. I think that starts, to put pressure on the teams above us, which is what we're going to have to do as well. If we lose tomorrow, and I think West Brom have got a couple of decent games. I think they've got Oxford and Charlton in the next couple of games. If we don't get a decent result tomorrow, before you know it, we could suddenly start getting caught adrift, and then it becomes kind of a lot tougher. So I think we need to start putting our foot to the metal and start to turn up at games. I think if we, and getting some, and I think tomorrow's a real chance of a big statement victory to go somewhere. And this is awful. This again, another thing where we're kind of talking about going to Middlesbrough and, people are hoping that we might get a draw or whatever. We've got to go there, and somewhere along the line, we've got to win one of these games that kind of makes everybody sit up and go, right, okay, Leicester are back now. The ticking, the pairing.
Yeah, well, Chris, I'm always the eternal optimist for Leicester. I kind of fancy us to go to Borough tomorrow because they're right up near the top. They'll look at us and think, bit of a mess, what's on? Chris, if we were to put 245 together, I've seen this league. There's nobody great in this league, and not even Borough and Coventry. Chris, I genuinely think we could go to Borough tomorrow, and like Steve says, someone would see it as a surprise. If we could put 245 minutes together, Chris, we could go and win, couldn't we? Yeah.
The guy said it on yesterday's show. Every game now is a cup final. If we go into it with a positive mentality and make the improvements that we should be in training, with the right amount of time now with Gary Rowlett and etc., we could treat this as a cup final and possibly nick a result from it. Whether it be a whether it be a positive performance in the draw or whether it be a smash and grab victory, I will take either. But yeah, this is the opportunity now to put a good performance in and maybe get a positive outcome from the game going into Saturday. Is it Saturday against Norwich, did you say? Yeah. So this is a cup final now, and we've literally got to take this opportunity now and go, right, everything that's already happened in the past, dust ourselves down and just go for it.
I like just a couple of comments on here. Somebody's put, Andy said, "This is the start of the Great Escape 2." They never made a sequel to one of the greatest films, but maybe they're going to make it. We're not as desperate as we were, ironically, in the Premier League. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Just a quick one before we all go. I'm going to get score predictions in. But would any of you like to talk about fan protests before the Norwich game on Saturday? I just feel it should be. Listen, I wasn't the biggest fan of them doing them anyway. I just personally feel now is not the time for that. Anybody want to pick up on that?
I want to pick up first of all the fact that the fans and the atmosphere against Stoke was brilliant. From the footage that I saw because I was watching the game at home. From the footage and what I could hear, the fans were brilliant. I think that was one of the best atmospheres in a long time for an away game.
Yeah, I mean, really. What was your take on the fan atmosphere?
Well, first off, wasn't great. Again, I've always said you've got to see the players do something for you to be back, for them to be backed. But second half, yeah, don't get me wrong, it was all right in the first half, but there was a few moments. But in the second half, yeah, it was quality. We tried to push the players as much as we could because we could see them trying and we could see them doing it. And like I said, when we got the 2-1 result at the time, it was brilliant. The fans were going mental, but yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get the result we wanted in the end. But
you could hear them singing on the teller. You could hear them singing.
It was one of the best atmospheres we've had in a long while.
Mm.
No, it's just like you say. What comes first? I think the fans, at least on Saturday, Reedy, new manager was like, right, obviously saw some of the same old in the first half, but I think the fans stuck at it, and because Leicester came flying out the traps in the second half and were pretty decent, it was a complete switch. I think it was a combination of the players and the fans. And as people, my logic is now is, I've said it last week's show, we Reedy, Steve, Chris, me, everybody watching this, we are Leicester City. The players come and go, the manager come and goes, the owners come and goes. We're there. So if we don't do our bit, it's no good looking at the players might let us down in the end, as might the manager, as might Top and the others. We can't let ourselves down because we'll still be here. So if we don't put a shift in against Borough, and if fans put a shift in against Norwich, which is why I'm against the protest personally, each to their own, but it's our time to do our bit, regardless of what all the other people who are fleetingly coming in as part of Leicester City, we're here for good. Anyway, I've said my bit. Score predictions. Let's start with you, Chris. Give us a score prediction for, Borough against Leicester. That's the only one we'll predict tonight.
Ooh, I'm gonna go 2-2, a late equaliser from us.
That would take that. That'd be all right, Chris. Another point. It builds, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be 2-1 Borough for a lengthy period of time, and then we'll smash and grab and get a decent point.
Yeah, that often feels like a win. Steve, over to you. What's your thoughts?
I'm going to be really positive, and I'm going to say we're going to win 2-0, keep a clean sheet. If it's all right,
clean sheet, Chris.
Yeah,
Steve,
I think
come on.
it's got to happen sooner or later. It's got to happen sooner or later. I think it'll be back to the wall. But I think it'll be back to the wall, but we'll get a goal and then we'll defend. Probably be get a bit of luck, but then we'll score one in the last couple of minutes just to kill the game off. But am I right? Just have a quick view on the protests and stuff.
Yeah, of course you can, because everybody's got. Listen, Steve. Everybody's got their own views, and everybody's views are perfectly right. Whatever you're about to say, I'm happy with. But you go.
No, I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be. Don't worry. I'm not.
You can say what you like. If you want to encourage people to do the march, you go for it, Steve. Honestly,
no, I think so. I did. So where I'm at now is, I think we need to be careful that it doesn't create too negative an environment in the ground for the games, because I do agree that we've got to try and come together for those 90 minutes, because if we don't, and it's fractured, we're effectively going to end up relegating ourselves. However, I also think that this season is kind of the final straw in terms of.
I agree with you.
It's gone too far. There's where we sit now, the points deduction. If at this present moment in time, and I don't think we'll get relegated, but if we do get relegated, it won't be by more than 6 points. This relegation is on what's been done in the boardroom, or the lack of what's been done in the boardroom to make sure that we were PSR compliant. So therefore, the relegation is that. Yes, the players have not been good enough this season, but the reality is, if we end up in League One, it will be because of that 6 point deduction. Now, we do need massive change, whether that's ownership or whether it's individuals, but we need good football operators, good business people who know what they're doing, who will get hold of this club and start to shake it up and get some strategy, get some long-term strategic thinking, and start running this properly like a sustainable long-term business. Because otherwise, I genuinely think another couple of years of this hierarchy and we will not have a football club left. We really won't, because...
Steve, I agree. I think the time that, obviously, you can see what's happened in the last couple of years. It's been shambolic at what's been going on in the echelons, in boardroom and down to management level. Absolutely a complete mess. It does need sorting 100%, but I'm just like, we're kind of 13 games left on the pitch to not go down to League One, which could be catastrophic. So to be honest, I can't change the boardroom before the end of the season.
I think we've got to do it. I think we've got to do it before the game and after the game. So for that 90 minutes, I think everyone's got to be together, be united to try and, create the best atmosphere we can to somehow get out of this mess for this season. But I also think that certain individuals can't have a free ride for this next 13 games, almost on the view of, well, we've all got to be together and then nothing be said. And then what happens is we survive on the last day or whatever, everyone's happy. And then everybody goes away, lies on the beach, drinking the San Miguel and whatever. And then we come back in August and nothing's changed. And we just keep going around in this cycle, because we are at the minute in a real situation where if this doesn't, if something drastic doesn't happen, we'll end up in League One next year or the year after anyway.
If things don't change, Steve, fans can make a difference by voting, by not paying for a season ticket, and things like that. That's where it will hit them when they see 10,000 less season tickets sold.
Agreed. I mean, the concern I've got is there's some bloody good people work at that football club, not the players, not any of that kind, but good, honest, hard-working people who probably earn less in a year than some of our lot earn in half a week.
Yeah.
And those people will do an absolute unreal job, make you very proud to be a Leicester fan. And with those people that end up losing the jobs, the reality is that, most of the players will either they're coming to the end of a contract and they'll just walk away and go and sign somewhere else, or they'll be protected, albeit they may have some sort of relegation reduction or whatever, but they'll still be sat there earning way more than any other player in League One. I think we've just got to do it. I think the protests need to happen, but it needs to happen in a way that it gets the message across, but it doesn't impact the 90 minutes of the game, because I think that's the bit that if we can get, if the message can get across for change, and I don't know what that change looks like. If Top is adamant he's not going to sell the club, then he's got to bring in people that can make.
Steve, he can only sell it if somebody wants to buy it.
Exactly, but if he's adamant that he's not selling it anyway, then he needs to bring people in.
Again, he said either way, has he?
Yeah. So if something needs to change, because
in life, most things are available to be bought if somebody offers you the right money for it.
Yeah.
Even if you love your car, somebody offers you the right money, you'd sell it because you go, well, I'd be daft not to.
Yeah, I actually think
But
this is as bad as it's been. I think it's worse than when we went into administration in 2001, 2. I think our financial position's worse now than what it was then.
Well, it is a house of cards, Steve, where because it's built on these foundations of Premier League TV money. You've took that layer out, and it literally is collapsing and has collapsed because it's built on not only playing in the Premier League year on year, it's been built on playing Europe and winning things. That's what we built, is a house of cards, and they've took the bottom row out, which is Premier League TV money, and that's why it's a shambles. You know, it's a big topic. And Steve, everybody, like I said, Leicester Fan TV is all about letting everybody have their view, have their say, and seeing what it is. We've overrun a little bit, so thanks everybody for sticking around. Did we get your score prediction, Steve?
Yeah, 2-0.
2-0.
Yeah.
Chris, you were a 2-2. Reedy?
I've not given a positive score in a long time.
God, let's do it tonight, Reedy. Come on.
I'll go with a.
That's what, Reedy. We're not playing so much tippy tappy football, so we might actually win a game. Try that. Your 4-3-2-1 Christmas tree left back inverted Ujima flip, pass it round the back 748 times, 77% possession is gone. Thank Jesus. We might actually get a win sometime soon.
Maybe
I've just watched 2 years of it.
I'm gonna go for a 2-1. I can't see it happening. But
To who?
To Leicester.
Now say it with a lot more enthusiasm. Come to the screen, Reedy. Come up to the screen and tell it. Tell everybody what we're going to do. Come on.
Leicester's going to win. Leicester's going to win 2-1.
Leicester's going to win 2-1.
There you go.
Woo.
I actually think we're going to win 2-1, Reedy. I think we are going to win 2-1. I don't know.
Okay.
Sometimes I get a feeling, and I think we're all being quite positive tonight because we actually know.
The one big positive from going into tomorrow's game is Oxford did get a good result against them. But
just say, read Baz's thing up. Come to the screen and get really excited and say that.
Oh, the bloody Foxes!
No, more excitement. Come on.
Oh, the Foxes!
Oh dear. I tried to get him.
I'm
trying to get excited.
I wish I could be excited, but after I just knew we wouldn't concede. I knew we'd concede 2-1 against Stoke, so I'm not going to be shocked if we concede in the first 10 minutes against them.
None of us would. Listen, Reedy, Steve, thanks for joining us. Chris, I think your first time on my show, so thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us. Yeah. I've been on Jamie's show once or twice before, but yeah, thank you for having us tonight.
Please come again, Chris. And as ever, Steve, thanks for all your efforts and everything like that. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And Reedy as well. Reedy getting really enthusiastic one more time. All by himself.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Anyway, listen, guys, everybody, thanks so much for all your views and all your comments. Last few comments. Ben says 2-3 to the Foxes. Robin says Leicester 2-1, but still no. That Robin, 100% with you. No chance of a clean sheet yet, but 2-1. Give her a chance to sort this defence out. Hope this message can be sorted and at least we don't get relegated. And I think everybody, well, I'd say everybody, I've seen a few Leicester fans want to see us get relegated. Yes, they put videos out saying that's crazy if you ask me, but everybody's entitled to their own opinion. The club have run the contracts down and not offered them new ones, says Michael in there. Should the protest wait until our position is cemented, says Scott. It's a very, very interesting one, Scott. I just think all I can do personally is cheer them on the pitch and hope that helps. Buzzer's getting carried away there. Even in 2002, we had forwards plural, and we don't have any worthy of being called a forward. King Power have 10 managers. That just about sums up the state of the club, says Gordon. I've said it. I agree. The upper management has been shambolic. That's what it has been. But I also, they're the ones in position. They can sort it out very, very quickly by appointing a manager. Tick, done it. Get a director of footballing, quick, do it. So, things can turn around. a last-minute winner by Luke Thomas at Stoke, just that would have made a difference. It is a win at Borough tomorrow night. It makes a difference. Us making some noise on Saturday, beating Norwich, it makes differences. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for Steve, Chris and Reedy for joining in. I'll see you all very, very soon. Don't forget, if you see anybody from Leicester Fan TV at the game tomorrow night, come and say hello. And of course, Thursday night we'll have Fox's Focus. Sunday will be the Aftermath show. So we'll see you on one of those shows, and I'll see you next Monday. Cheers.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.